Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 2021, initially described as Heritage Collection. It now identifies with the Evolution 9 series of Grand Seiko watches. This is the high-beat SLGH005 white birch, inspired by the white birch that grows outside of the Shizuku Ishii studio in northern Iwate. It is a lovely timepiece of 40 millimeters diameter in stainless steel. You can see that the watch is 12 millimeters thick, 47 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and 50.3 millimeters from end link to end link. That's the total distance across the wrist, with a broad and modern 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Taking a quick look, you can appreciate that the watch is full-sized but not oversized, and it's best described as a competent all-arounder. Neither a dress watch nor a sports watch, it's a judicious blend of both, and I could recommend it for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference on the bracelet. 14 would work if the watch were on a strap, and because it does have strap tool holes in the lug, swapping out should be easy. The timepiece is low enough to fit underneath the cuff, especially with the double-stepped case and the sloped flank of the bezel and the crystal. The timepiece, of course, has a bracelet with an integrated end link to better mate it to the case without an awkward gap. And then you can see we have links that are polished on their outer face. They're satinated across the top. We've got staggered link alignment, and then removable links are fixed in place using screws. And you can see there are intermediate size links in case you're in between sizes to better match the watch to your wrist. We have a single fold deployant clasp with a combination of satin, media blasting, and polish on the buckle. Twin trigger release so it cannot pop open accidentally. The watch has a screw-down crown. That's why I say it blends elements of a sports watch and a dress watch, because we do have 100-meter water resistance here, which is solidly more than the dress watch standard. Now, this case is now identified with the Evolution 9 series, which is how Grand Seiko describes its most recent addition to its series of collections. So it's designed to be a more modern watch that blends a lot of different threads of Grand Seiko design history. We have satin, we have polish, we have creases, curves, we have a little bit of a polyhedron lug profile at the tips, and of course we have this black polish, the so-called Zaratsu finish, executed with tin plate against the stainless steel. This type of manual polishing is time-consuming and requires about 3 years to master, so externally this is very much a handcrafted watch. There's some subtlety to the bezel. You can see on its top it's flatted and it's satinated, then it has a sloped flank that's polished, and it has a very short vertical flank outboard. The crystal is both boxed and cambered, so we have the box section outboard and then the cambered curve on the top. The dial, depending on how you categorize steps, may require up to 20 individual steps to fabricate. Now, a lot of those are clear coating of the dial, up to 14, 15 times. But the bottom line is between coloring, clear coating, and stamping, quite a bit of work goes into this birch-like, bark-like profile. It is not simple and brushed like a sunburst. It has real depth and contour to it that you can see well. The final step, of course, after all of that base finish is that the logo, the date window, and the indices are applied and caulked on. So a very handcrafted dial. Even the little parts, the logo, the window, the indices, and the hands are finished by hand before they're applied by hand. The second sand is steel fired blue. And then you can see how the indices and the hands feature mirror-like polish across their surfaces. They're cut on diamond-tipped micro-milling tools, which allows these razor-like facets to be achieved. Now, you will note we have a very smooth, sweeping hand here, and I should note right now that there are two different white birches. One is the spring drive SLGH005. This is the SLGH005. The 009 is a spring drive movement. This one is high beat. So while spring drive has a perfectly smooth sweep, this is a very smooth sweep with a 36,000 vibration per hour start-stop lever type escapement. So it is 10 beats per second and it sweeps smoothly, and it is a double beat cadence against the ear, 36,000 vibrations per hour like a Zenith El Primero. Now it does feature a hacking seconds function, so you can stop that hand, as well as a quick set for the dates. You can rapidly correct the date if if you need to. The watch has a remarkably seamless setting system with very little dead angle in the travel of the crown, which is always impressive. Around the back, we have a fascinating update to Grand Seiko mechanical watchmaking. This is the 9SA5. So now twin barrels, you can see them under their barrel bridge. We have an 80-hour power reserve rather than the old high beats 55. In addition to that, we have a full bridge and a free-sprung balance, a tougher architecture, really of the type you'd expect to see on a sports watch for the balance. The balance beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and we have Grand Seiko's first overcoil hairspring, which allows the watch to breathe concentrically, so keeping very consistent time in any position. That's the advantage of a overcoil. The mass is very, very centered. We have a recessed bolt aerodynamic balance, hairspring escapement and balance, all made in-house at Grand Seiko, along with the very lubricants and the shock protection. So this is the product of a very integrated manufacturer. You also have the dual impulse escapement, which is a tangential contact direct and indirect impulse escapement system that more than anything else reminds me of Omega's coaxial. It has a lot of the same benefits for power reserve, chronometry, and reduced maintenance needs. It is different. It's not the same thing, but these are the closest comparisons that I can make in the case of the Grand Seiko. Now, the watch features a larger movement that better fills the case back than before, and you can see how the architecture is quite attractive. We have that symmetrical balance bridge, then we have an intermediate bridge that's associated with the winding system. And then on the other side, you have that barrel bridge that makes the lovely Solarized barrel caps visible. It is a truly good-looking movement. Well, it's hand-finished to an extent. It's a little bit like Audemars Piguet, a combination of hand-finishing and manual finishing in judicious blend, with the final adjustment in 6 positions being done manually. By the way, 6-position adjustment, impressive, because even chronometers and horlogerie watches generally are just 5 positions. 47 joules, it's an impressive movement, and the twin barrels give it a more progressive and smooth torque release to the escapement. So single barrel watches tend to gallop when they're fully wound and really slow down after 18, 24, 36 hours. The twin barrel with phased springs does a better job of maintaining consistent torque, and that's why that was chosen for this latest generation of Grand Seiko watch. So reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of the mechanical white birch.